Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back again to another full month, nothing new. I am doing this theme here on my channel throughout the month of April, and for today's video we are going to be talking about the Juvia's Place Magic Mini Palette. I'm going to share with you guys all the details on this very versatile palette, including 4 different looks that I created with this one. Before we jump into it, make sure that you are subscribed to my channel, and with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at this palette. So here is the Magic Mini Palette. I mentioned this palette in my March favorites because over the last probably about a month and a half, I have just really been enjoying this palette. In my opinion, based on the palettes that I have from Juvia's Place and just the palettes that I have seen from Juvia's Place, I think this is probably one of their most versatile palettes. It has the most variety in it. Now, although I think this palette is extremely versatile, there are a couple of things I think make this somewhat of a more difficult palette to use. I am not talking at all about the formula of any of the shadows in here. They are all fantastic. But what I think is a little bit tricky about a palette like this, because it is so versatile, it's sometimes hard to know how to put shadows together because not every one of these shades will go with any other shade in the palette. I also think that this palette reaches its fullest potential when you combine it with a neutral palette. Now, I am someone that when I'm wearing color on my eyes, I like to try and combine color with neutral shades to kind of tone the color down a little bit, make it a little bit more wearable for my personal preference. And there are 2 specific types of colors that are not in this palette that I kind of rely on to do something like that. One of them is a deep matte brown, and the other one is kind of a more champagne toned color for the inner corner or for the lid. You do not have either of those shades in here. Now, I'm not necessarily criticizing this palette for that, and I'm not saying that you can't create an entire look using this palette, but I do think if you have a neutral eyeshadow palette to pair with this one, it opens a lot of other doors and options for you, especially if you are someone that doesn't like to be very bold with your color. Also, if you are someone that really likes to highlight your brow bone, that's not something that I always do, but if that's something that you like to do in all of your makeup looks, this palette doesn't necessarily give you a good brow bone highlight. As for the formula of these, it is very typical Juvia's Place formula. The shimmers are very, very buttery and rich, very pigmented, especially if you use your finger, which if you guys have watched my channel for a while, you will know that 9 times out of 10, I like applying my shimmer with my finger. As for the mattes, they are very pigmented, but they're definitely very buildable. I think Juvia's Place is probably one of the easiest formulas to work with, maybe ColourPop. Juvia's Place and ColourPop, in my opinion, are the 2 easiest formulas to work with. So I want to show you guys a couple of the shades that are probably some of my favorites. This is really tricky to do with this palette because I've really enjoyed a lot of the shades in here. I want to start off by saying this shade right here, it kind of depends on what your skin tone is, what you would consider this shade to be. If you have a medium to deep skin tone, this would be a perfect like brow bone highlight for you. If you have a fair to light skin tone, this is basically going to be kind of a lid setting shade, but this might be the most useful shade in here because if you want to tone down the brightness of some of these bold mattes, combining it with a little bit of this is going to soften that up. And you can also use this to blend out the edges of your look, which is a super helpful tip. If you ever find things get a little bit patchy, go in with a shade like this. If it does match your skin tone, blend over those edges and it really just kind of almost acts like an eraser. It kind of just fixes everything around the edges of your eye look. This yellow shade is super fun. I've really been into a shimmery kind of yellow lately. I think it's a really fun, trendy eye look that's pretty easy to pull off. I love the pinks in here as well. These pinks make a really good combination if you like kind of a pink eye look. It creates the most beautiful, soft, smoky pink eye look, which is another one of my favorite looks to wear lately. This green shade is incredibly bold, a very, very fun color for a lash line color, or if you just are into bold color, you will love this color. And then you get a perfect bronze in here, which is always a good staple color to have in any palette. I also love this charcoal right here. If you like a kind of charcoal, easy, smoky eye, put this all over your lid and then put either a dark brown or a black in your crease, or you can even put the dark navy or the dark purple just kind of right there at the outer corner and have a really beautiful, sultry kind of smoky eye. And this blue right here is a really fun inner corner shade. I have used this color in another eye look that I did a couple videos back. I'll link it right here, but I loved that eye look. I love this color on my inner corner. I would say this was probably my most used inner corner shade when using this palette, but there are times on occasion, because this inner corner shade does have quite a bit of kind of a soft blue undertone to it, sometimes I don't want that look. So I do, again, think it's helpful to have something else that you can reach for if you want something a little bit different on your inner corner. So now I'm going to show you guys the 4 different eye looks that I created with this palette. We're going to do this kind of in the same style that I do my 7 looks videos with. So I'll have this kind of just set to music and just kind of show you guys what I did rather than talk you through it. So let's go ahead and take a look at look number 1. So I hope you guys enjoyed those 4 looks. I forgot to mention this, but the palette that I combined with the last look that I showed you, which is the look that I'm wearing today, was the Bold Obsessions palette from Milani. I basically just ended up using these 2 matte brown shades right here, and then this shimmery champagne right here on my inner corner. But you really could use any neutral palette that you have in your collection. Almost any palette from ColourPop is probably going to have some neutral shades in it. My Anastasia palettes, my Soft Glam, or my Sultry palette would be a perfect pairing with this. But again, you guys, I can't say enough good things about this palette. The only person I think that would not enjoy this palette is someone that really does not ever like to wear color out and about on their eyes. If you are 100% a neutral person, I think there are other palettes from them that would suit you a little bit better. In fact, the next 2 that I will be talking about are a little bit more heavy on the neutral side. So keep an eye out for those if you think this might be a little bit too bold for your liking. But this, I think, is the perfect palette for someone that doesn't want to go overly neon, overly bright and vivid, because although a few of these colors are a little bit vivid, I think all of them can be scaled back a little bit, and the overall feel of this palette is definitely a little bit more on kind of the soft pastel kind of neutral side of color. But I am a huge fan of this one. The more I use it, the more I fall in love with it, and I have loved the variety of looks that I've been able to come up with using this palette, but they still are looks that I'm comfortable in. But that is it for my thoughts on this palette. Again, I recommend the formula of any of the Juvia's Place palettes, at least the ones I have tried. They are all fantastic. I've not found any inconsistencies in them. They all are very easy to work with, really great quality, and I love their price point as well. You can buy these palettes from Ulta, but make sure you keep an eye on their website because they often do sales. I'm on their mailing list and I often get notifications that they have sales going on. Maybe not as good as the one they had over Christmas, but they often have little sales pop up here and there. So keep an eye out on their website if you want to save some money. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that it was helpful for you. Maybe for those of you that are looking into Juvia's Place and wondering what palette to pick up, make sure to keep an eye out for my next 2 videos as well. Next we will be talking about the Saharan 2 palette, and then last I'm going to revisit my old favorite, the Nubian 2, because I know I've talked about that palette to death, but I think I have only used it like for 2 or 3 looks here on my channel, and that palette has a lot to offer. So make sure you're subscribed so that you don't miss out on those ones. Thank you guys so much for stopping by my channel today. I hope that you guys have a great day, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye. Oh, it's okay. She can come over here.
Start the video again.
It's on.
Hi.
Do you want to say hi to everyone? One of these days we should do your hair for everybody, huh? 'Cause we
Yeah.
always see you. Yeah. What's that? Oh, here we go again.
Mom?
Yes?
That.
Who's this?
Hi.
Who's this?
Charlie.
Charlie. Who's this?
Mommy.
Yeah. Who's that?
Charlie.
Yeah. Say hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah. Did you have a good sleep?
Yeah.
Yeah? How's your toe? Is it all better? Somehow this morning she picked up a 5-pound
Pound.
weightlifting disc and dropped it on her toe. And I cannot believe it did not break her toe. It did bleed a little bit, so we had to bandage it up. Amazing kids live, huh? Especially with big brothers that have dangerous stuff everywhere, huh? Okay, here we go again. I do have some blue in here. Dark navy blue. Where are you gonna put it? On your eyes or your nose or your cheek? Cheek's the best place for blue. Right? Look at that contour. Charlie, can you say nice contour? Good job. My 8-year-old came home from school the other day. Fundraiser time. We are selling world's finest chocolate. My guess, he'll make it to a few neighbors, realize it's a little bit harder to sell these things than he thought, and then I'll end up buying $45 of the chocolate that's left. Which means I'm not going to have money for Girl Scout cookies. There is a fundraiser I could get behind. Me and my husband were talking about Samoas the other day. How many of you guys love the Girl Scout Samoas? They're the best.